What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to the Tears Take. I'm Tierney, and I am recapping the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, episode 8. It's called Boots on the Ground. We're just going to dive in because I will give you my thoughts along the way because I certainly have them. I recap shows every week. If you're into the Real Housewives, please watch more of my videos. I will venture out and start doing some more reality shows. But if you are just a Bravo lover like myself, please subscribe. Let's be friends. Leave me a comment, like the video if you love the content. And that actually helps the channel to reach other Bravo lovers. So thank you in advance, and let's get started. So the episode starts off with a country song by Shamia, and I was kind of like, okay, like, some people online liked it. I didn't care for it. I didn't like that they were talking about Drew giving, you know what, to Dennis. That's not proven. So I just didn't like that innuendo. I don't know. I mean, the more I watched this episode, I was like, am I an auntie? Like, I was just like not impressed with a lot of their antics. So then we see Brit calling her man, and she basically was telling him that, you know, Angela rubbed her the wrong way. And the reason why she said that is because we know Angela clocked her at the peace brunch when she was lying about her losing her license over the Kenya fiasco. And plus, she was talking about wanting Drew to come on the trip. So because of those two things, Angela now has directed her focus on Angela. You know, she had her weird obsession with Kenya, and now she's focusing on Angela. And it's like, I don't care. And then Shamia checks in with her husband. He's at an appointment with their daughter. She was congested and had some other things going on. And she's just upset. Like, she just feels so bad. She's a mommy. So I can relate with her. Just when your kid's in pain, you're in pain. And then on top of that, she's out of state. And so that was just getting to her. She said in her confessional that her husband is such a great father and such a great husband that she wants to be able to give him a boy. And so that's just an ongoing journey for them. And I hope they get what they want. I just hope everyone stays safe in the process. Next, we have Angela and Cynthia. They have a brief sit down and catch up. And I'm glad I rewatched the Peacock version, because when I watched the Hulu version, a lot of stuff gets cut out, I'm noticing. When things get referenced, I'm like, wait, what? Did I miss that? So I don't know. I need to make sure I watch the Peacock version, the Peacock replay, because when they were talking about Porsha calling Angela Victimina, I did not see that. So anyway, Angela tells Cynthia that Drew is on her way. And while Cynthia likes Drew, she repeats again, you know, baby daddy's hit different. So she's not vibing with the way Drew is moving with Dennis. So moving on. Next, Drew arrives, and Cynthia lets her know that the group is going to split up into two groups. One group is going whiskey tasting. Another group is going to a bar and like learning how to make drinks. Drew goes to check out her room, and she sees like the bunk beds, and she says it's giving orphanage. And I said, yeah, it does. Drew is talking to Angela, and she hasn't talked to Porsha yet. And Angela is encouraging her to like go say hi, go say happy birthday. And Drew's like, why? I'm like, girl, Drew, I try to help you out. I don't agree with everything you're doing. Drew, I try to help you out, but come on, girl, have some couth. Go up to the host, apologize for crashing her trip, tell her happy birthday, and like, let's get it moving, because don't just walk in and not say hi to anybody. So Angela encourages Drew to talk to her, because she's like, look, girl, I've been going to battle for you. I got these battle scars. Like, you need to take it from here. So the women start getting ready to go to their separate activities. Why do they all look like strippers, or most of them? What the hell did Kelly have on? Someone else had like their ass out. Like, I don't know. I was just like, am I getting old? Because unless you're in Vegas or it's nighttime and it's like a bachelorette party or maybe even a divorce party, like, I'm down to like be scantily clad, and, you know, if you got it flaunted, I'm down for all that. But like for a daytime trip in Nashville, I didn't understand it. I was just like, why do y'all look like strippers? I don't know. And I don't necessarily like the declassing the show line, but that's how I was feeling. I was just like, come on, y'all, we're better than this. Can we just, I don't know. Everything, this episode annoyed me because everything doesn't need to be boobs out, ass clapping, like twerking. Like everything doesn't have to be that. I think that's fun. It's great. Like their little fun time by the pool, fine. But like, I don't know. I was just like, all right. Let me know down below if I'm just being an auntie or if you feel me. I just feel like it's too much for Atlanta. Everything doesn't have to be that. I think it's fun when it's a time and place. Yes, let's turn up, but like, I don't know, 12 p.m. in a public bar, like twerking, like it looks dumb to me, but maybe I'm just getting older. So, then as the ladies are getting ready, it cuts to Porsha and Shamea getting ready. I just had to shout out to Porsha hoarding her ribs from the night before. I told you she was tearing up them ribs and I wanted to be right there with her. And here she goes, had them in her room for the next morning to keep eating. I was like, you, Porsha, I see you. I'm not mad at that. So, she's talking to, I think she was still talking to Shamea when she was like, Angela was gaslighting me. I'm like, Porsha, can you spell gaslighting, please? Please spell it and then define it and then come back to us because shut up. So then Porsha sees Drew and she actually greeted her very nicely, gave her a hug, asked her how she was. So I was pleasantly surprised with how she handled that. And by the way, Porsha's hair in this scene, well, Porsha's hair 99.9999% of the time looks amazing. The only mishap was that reunion, season 9 when she looked like Elvis. Other than that, Porsha's hair is always laid, but her hair looks so pretty in that scene. It was like really curly. I loved it. So then we get a brief sprinter ride scene. Their sprinter rides are not lit like Salt Lake City, but pretty much Shamea started crying because someone had texted her who she had told in the past about her past abusive marriage. And the person who she confided in or talked to about it seemed to really dismiss her and not believe her. And then that same person just texted Shamea really acknowledging what happened and acknowledging and believing her and actually seeing her. And so that just brought back a flood of feelings for Shamea. And so, I just appreciate Shamea sharing everything that she has shared so far. We have learned more about her in 8 episodes than we have learned about a lot of more of other housewives who have been on for 8 years plus. So, and I'm not just talking about this franchise. I'm talking about just in general. There are plenty of people that just skate by, not doing anything, not telling us anything, not opening up, showing the real sides of their life. And Shamea has done that so well. And I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine going through what she went through, but I appreciate her sharing her story and, hopefully just helping other people get out of that situation and feel seen in their own situation. So I appreciate that. It was interesting though, when she was on that sprinter ride and as she was kind of talking about it, she quickly wanted to stop talking about it. And she quickly deflected to Cynthia's mom because Cynthia's mom, worked on a PSA with Shamea. I believe Kenya ran that PSA about domestic violence. And, Cynthia's mom was also a victim of domestic violence. And so Shamea like really quickly deflected and was just like, yeah, thanks guys. As they were comforting her. And she was like, so Cynthia, like, how's your mom doing? Like, what's going on with her? And it was interesting because Shamea is, always seems so extra to me and always so on. And it's very much this all the time. And, as she was getting like serious attention and attention for something that was like really sensitive and raw, she immediately deflected. So it was interesting to see like, oh, okay, you're not always like a glutton for attention. Like, oh, okay, there is some chill there. So that was interesting to see. So Shamia, Kelly, and Porsha go out to Coyote Ugly Bar, and this is like one of the things I was just saying about them like twerking on the bar. They had to do, and this was the bartender's idea. It wasn't necessarily the ladies, but the bartenders like sat out the shots, and they're like, "Oh, you can't use your hands." So then they started acting like they were doing, you know what, around the cups, and it was just like. So then we get more conversation at the Coyote Ugly Bar, and Kelly asked Porsha, like, "Hey, what was up with your friends last night?" And sidebar, where are Porsha's friends? They just came to that dinner and that was it. That was strange. But anyway, I'm surprised they weren't like in the activities or back at the house later on, but whatever. So, Kelly asked Porsha, "Hey, what was up with your friends last night? Like, do they not like Drew? Like, what was going on?" And Porsha said that they were genuinely wondering where Drew was. They know us to be friends, and if they were there, they would think Drew would be there. But then she just quickly changed the attention from them over to Angela. And she was just like, "Yeah, like, but Angela, why would she announce it in front of everyone that Drew's coming? If you're going to invite someone, wouldn't you want to make sure the vibes are good? And wouldn't you want to make sure that person's welcomed? Like, why would Angela do that?" And then Shamia chimes in saying that Angela was talking about Drew, saying that Drew was talking trash about her to Kelly. And that is not what happened. So thank God production showed the real tape and showed what really happened. And what really happened is that Angela was telling Shamia, she was like, "Yeah, I think Kelly was throwing shade about me to Drew. And you know what? I don't even care what Kelly said. I'm just wondering how Drew responded." So like Shamia got it mixed up, and I'm just like, Shamia, girl, I like you, but every time you take up for Porsha or try to speak for her, I'm just like, girl. So based on what Shamia said, the inaccurate description, by the way, based on what Shamia said, and based on how Angela was like announcing Drew's arrival, Porsha comes to the assumption and comes to the conclusion that Angela's trying to set Drew up. Girl, what? I want to see like the gears and the wheels actually turning in Porsha's brain, trying to make this narrative make sense. That makes no sense. And I don't even think Porsha believed it. Like, if you heard her voice, she was trying to set her up. And then Kelly's dumb behind, "Oh yeah, she was trying to set her up." I'm like, oh my God, she drank the Kool-Aid. So I don't know. We might hear or see more about that later, but it doesn't make sense. It's stupid. And it's like, Porsha, why don't you tell us what you have going on? Because you love putting the spotlight on Drew. You love putting the spotlight on Angela, and you got a whole mess of a life that you have yet to show anything about. Moving on. So then we cut to the girls at whiskey tasting, and it is Drew, Angela, Brit, Cynthia, and Angela is just kind of bringing up like Drew coming to the trip, and she was just like, "Yeah, I'm trying to do a good thing. I know you and Porsha to be friends, and I'm just trying to like help get you guys back on track." And then Brit jumps in and was kind of like, "Yeah, but you're kind of playing victim." And it's just like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Well, you kind of do things and you act oblivious to what you did." And Angela's like, "Okay, can I get an example? Like how I just met you? Like, give me an example." And Brit goes back to this brunch, and I'm like, "Girl, you got to get a life." Like, she gets too fixated on things, and then she starts creating like narratives in her head. Like, I know you got to get psychologically evaluated to be on these shows. I think they should have passed her through another time. So she's like, "Yeah, at the brunch, I should have got more sympathy." And, basically she says, at the brunch, you could have like handled the situation with more empathy and more compassion. And I just don't think I didn't feel the support in that. And then Angela was just like, "Well, I thought you were acting entitled." Drew backs her up and was kind of like, "Yeah, we were just we were just trying to see things from all sides. Like it wasn't an attack on you. It was just like, we're trying to support our friend. We're trying to be there for you. And then Cynthia jumps in, and she was doing a little too much, in my opinion. Like she jumps in and she's like, and it could have just been the whiskey. I'll give her a little, half a grace on that. Until you were in that situation and there is a penis in your mouth on a poster board, I don't think you can say anything. I'm like, oh, Cynthia, weren't you the one telling us a couple episodes ago you didn't even know Brit? So I would have just sat this one out. Because then she said something like, oh, we should be there for the friend we love. She said something like that. And I'm like, love? I thought you said you didn't know her. You don't know her. So hush. That's one side of it. The other side of it is, at this point, Kenya was probably already ignoring Cynthia, because I think they talked maybe one time after the spa incident, and then I think after that Kenya just pulled away. So at this point Kenya might be already ignoring her, and maybe she's in her mind a little more Team Brit. So I guess I can kind of see from that side, but from the outside it looks like you're doing a little too much when you have your good friend, who got ousted. You're like taking up for the person who had a big hand in that situation. So then Brit proceeds to act a victim, and she's crying, and she's like, you don't know what I've been through. And, I was in bed with the same spiel. This girl has the same spiel every episode. We get it, Brit. Okay. So Angela apologized, and no one else did. Brit didn't apologize to Angela for being a weirdo and snapping on her and cursing at her and calling her, laughing when Porsha was calling her Victimina. She didn't apologize. And then Drew did not apologize. Like, Drew was kind of like, I'm standing on business. Like, I didn't do nothing wrong to you. So there was that. So now we get to Porsha's birthday dinner. So the women start, just congregating in the living room. They're having drinks. They're just, waiting for everyone to get ready and join them. And Brit is talking about whips again. This girl don't ever learn. Ugh. So everyone's just having fun. And then Porsha comes in, and the energy just immediately shifts. Like, I can't stand a buzzkill. I can't stand, like, keep your bad attitude somewhere else. If we're over here laughing, having fun, do not bring that negative, dark energy over where we're having fun. So, but Porsha does that. And she comes in, and it's just immediately shifts, and they're sensing it. People are like, hey, what's wrong? You good? You good? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. Girl. So Porsha says in a confessional that someone told her that Dennis actually filmed with Drew after she told him she didn't want him to do that. So that's where all that negative energy is coming from. So they do some line dancing, and then they sit down, and they're asking Porsha what's wrong again. They're better than me, because I'm normally going to ask once and be done. It is her birthday, though, so maybe I'd ask twice. But I'm not chasing a grown person around. What's wrong? Tell me. No. Like, you say you good, or you say nothing. I'll be like, okay, girl, I'm going to drink and I'm going to have fun. I'm having fun. I'm not going to be part of your pity party if you don't tell me what's actually happening. Anyway, so they sit down. Someone asks, how the whiskey tasting went. And Brit's like, oh, it was good. Like, we resolved our issues. Brit, your one-sided beef that you created in your head, that wasn't an issue that needed to be resolved. Brit, you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo. And, everyone's like, okay, that's great. That's great that you resolved it. And they were like, tell us about it. And Brit was like, well, Angela, why don't you share? Angela, why don't you tell them what happened? So Angela was like, yeah, you called me a victim, and I'm still not really sure why you did that. And Brit's like, oh, so you learned nothing. You learned nothing. I'm like, oh, here we go. And Angela was like, yeah, like, Porsha, you said it too. You called me Victimina. Like, what was that about? Can you tell me what you mean? And then Shamia chimes in again on Porsha's behalf. Oh, she said that you're a gaslighter. Shamia. I'm rooting for you, Shamia. And then Angela's like, gaslighter? Like, okay, well, Porsha, like, why am I a gaslighter now? And Portia's like, I don't remember. Oh my God, here we go. So, so then Angela was like, I'm not sure why I'm always on the hot seat. I'm not sure why I'm always held accountable for every little thing I do. When Kelly asked Porsha a question earlier that we still never got answers to, and Portia's never held accountable for that. And they flash back to Kelly asking Porsha why she stole Fallon's husband. And so, so Angela's like, yeah, the world needs to know. The world wants to know. So then Cynthia asked Porsha, like, Porsha, do you want to answer Angela? Do you want to acknowledge what she said? And Porsha said, I want Angela to kiss my ass. Angela was like, no, the rest of the world can do that because so many people on this cast already do that. She was like, no, I don't need to do that. And then in the confessional, she said, I'm not kissing Fix a Flat. So then Drew asked Porsha, hey, are you really okay with me being here? Like, are you good? Are we okay? And Porsha was just like, oh yeah, you straight. Oh my God. Who is her producer? I would be like, if you don't talk to her, y'all need to talk. Go to the other room right now and talk. I'm so sick of this stupid storyline. So she's like, you straight. And, Drew felt the coldness. Like, she's not an idiot. So Drew was like, you know what? She's like, let me leave. Like, I wasn't even invited here anyway. Let me go. Everyone's trying to get Drew to stay, but she's like, no, I'm good. And she leaves. So then, in a confessional, Porsha says, she's basically giving Drew and Angela a lot of grace because she could be going off on them based on how she's feeling right now, but she's really holding it in and like keeping it cute. And I'm like, okay, you want a sticker for being an adult? So then Porsha and Cynthia talk after dinner, and Porsha pretty much shares like, none of my attitude is really directed towards anyone here. It's more so towards Dennis and the way he's moving with Drew. And in a confessional, she pretty much said like, I didn't want to confront Drew, but Dennis is going to get all of this. Like, he's, I told him how I felt. He disrespected it. He's obligated to me, not Drew. And so like, Dennis is going to hear from me. So then we're heading towards the end of the episode, and the women are just dancing, having a good time. And then we see the next morning that Brit tells Kelly that Angela was recording them. Then we get a confessional from Angela, and she says that she heard her name come up, and the girls were all talking about her. And then she heard Porsha say like, oh, I should go F Charles. And that's when Angela started to record them. And normally I would say, girl, that is so corny. Don't do that. Don't be like Brittany from Salt Lake. Like, we don't do that. That's so whack. But Porsha is a known liar. So yeah, maybe you do need to record what she does because she lies. So that's when she recorded. But then she said, I didn't even record that long because I decided to confront them. They're talking about me so much. I'm going to confront them. So when she went down there to confront Porsha, Portia's playing dumb. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say anything, but she left. She jetted out of there. I said guilty. And then in Portia's confessional, she pretty much denies saying anything and tries to deflect like, that is so weird. Why was she watching us? Shut up, Porsha. So then, like I said, she denies saying what she said about Charles, but then Kelly validated it too. Kelly in her confessional said, yeah, if Angela keeps up, I'm just going to go F Charles. Brit had a confessional that was like, I heard this allegedly about Charles. I heard that allegedly about Charles. And I'm like, this is rich coming from you. Brit, why don't you worry about the allegations about your man? How about you worry about because there's plenty of, in the words of Porsha, why don't you go clean up them blogs? Because there's plenty out there about your man that I don't think you want plastered everywhere. So you worry about that instead of talking about Angela's husband, okay? Let's start there. Let's clean up our household first before we want to judge others, okay? Ooh, I can't stand that girl. Anyway, so then the next morning, Kelly sees Angela. Angela's packed up by the door waiting to go. And what's that child's name? Kelly comes over. Good morning. And Angela's like, I can't be fake. Like, y'all were just talking about me last night. You were sitting there listening to someone saying that they were going to go F my husband. She didn't say all this, but that's what she meant by I can't be fake. And Kelly's like, I just want to say good morning. She is so loud. I just want to say good morning. And she's like, okay, good morning. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Good morning. But basically, Angela leaves and she's like, all these women are puppets. I'm over the BS. I'm too grown. And so that's how it ended. Ciao. Final thoughts. Porsha's a bird. Everyone knows that. Angela's still top of the list. I appreciate her. I'm appreciating what she's bringing. And like I said earlier, I appreciated Shamia for sharing and opening up her life. So that wraps up the Nashville trip. It was lackluster. So we'll see what comes next. But let me know down below your thoughts on the episode. And like, what do you want to see next? I would love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out my other content, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for rocking with me. Bye.